significance of this game tonight?
Yeah, we got these guys a few more times here to the end of the year, and obviously chase them in the standings right now. And we want to be in first place in our division, and it's a big game in that sense.
Hey, Jake, after the trade deadline, like especially where you guys are in the standings, where you're fighting for, a lot of guys say it's more like playoff hockey. You expect that the next 18 or so games, especially games against these guys?
Yeah, and not only against these guys, I think throughout the league, especially this time of year, it's hard to collect points no matter who you're playing. Whether it's a team that's maybe not even in the playoff race, they're fighting for they're fighting for jobs or whatever it may be. There's teams that are fighting to get in the playoff spots and wild card spots, first in division, climbing the standings throughout the league. So it's very difficult to collect points at this time of year.
What have you made of how you guys have played defensively over the last couple weeks or so?
Yeah, definitely something that we've been trying to focus on and improving. We've shown this year that we can be elite defensively. We've gotten off track a little bit, but I've got no doubt in our group that we can get back to where we were earlier in the year.
Craig was saying a game like this requires, the mental toughness, the opponent, the schedule. How can you kind of show that mental toughness tonight?
Just being consistent through 60 minutes. There's ups and downs throughout a game, and it's how you handle that, and just staying the course, frankly, and trusting in our game and trusting in our process of how we want to play our game, and that's going to be trust that it's going to be good enough, and it should be good enough tonight.
What stands out the most about just the Panthers and the style, and what sort of challenge they present?
I think just their consistency over the last couple of years. 2 straight finals. They've been at the top of the league for a significant period of time now, and credit to them because it's not an easy game to play the way they do night in and night out. So that's what most teams are chasing, and I think that we've shown throughout the course of the year that we can play that stifling game, and that's what we're trying to get to at these last month of the year. If, everyone wants to be playing their best hockey at the end of the year, going to the playoffs, and we're no different.
It's resonated a bit in the room when they get a guy like Marchand. I know you're not going to see him tonight, but you can see him down the line here and what he can potentially impact a game.
So what's the question? Sorry.
Brad Marchand joining the Panthers, and
yeah, obviously we're very familiar with him, and player that's been around for a long time and a great player. So we added a couple of great players ourselves. So.
Played with Chris a lot this season. How much do you miss what he's able to do on a nightly basis when someone like him is out?
Yeah, I think throughout the course of the year we've had significant injuries to our lineups, whether it be Austin or Chris, Stoley. We've come through it and we've shown our depth, and I think our front office has done a good job of providing us depth throughout the year, and there's certain guys that have stepped up and helped in losses of key players, and I think through this stretch, it's you miss a guy like that for sure. But I think other guys have stepped up and taken some minutes, and yeah.
You know what it's like to get traded around this time? Like, what would be the best advice you could give Scott and Brandon about getting their self-adjusted? Yeah,
I think Scott, obviously being from Toronto, helps. Obviously, having family and friends close by, but with Brandon, I think it's almost a carbon copy, frankly, of what I went through. So, just trying to be there and support him and let him know that it is a whirlwind, and I think he's obviously felt that. Especially being in one place for so long throughout your career, then everything changes. Frankly, it's a lot, man. It's not an easy thing to go through. So we're here to help him out and be there to support him as a teammate and as a friend, and just to get to know him. And I'm looking forward to it because he's an awesome guy.
They've had to move families. You did too. So you've been there. I guess you know what that's about. Trying to get kids and move them around.
Yeah, exactly.
How difficult is that?
It's not easy. You got to get passports. You got to.
What was it like to get home and see your family again? It's been a long time on the road. Just what have the last 24 hours been like for you?
My family went home for a little bit, back to Wisconsin, so they got to enjoy that and get distracted from missing Dad a little bit, maybe. But it was nice to be home, cook a meal for my family, and spend some time with my kids. It was good.
What's Tanev's outlook for tonight?
Game time decision.
What sort of intensity are you expecting? What do you think this game is going to be like tonight?
Well, I mean, Florida brings that certain game element. Hard forechecking team. They're in your face the whole game. There's not a lot of room out there. That's what I expect. They're gonna dump pucks in and they're gonna forecheck, and they're tight on you. They don't give you a lot of time and space out there. So it's gonna be a battle. Your wall battles, and we need close puck support, and you got to simplify the game against this team.
It's the same for most teams right now, but the schedule is so jammed because of 4 Nations the rest of the way here. How do you describe how it affects your day-to-day? Not as much practice time, I guess.
Yeah, there's definitely not as much practice time, and we're just getting back here off the road. We're on the road for quite some time, and exactly. So you don't get a ton of practice time, and it's short when you do. That's just the schedule, and that's pretty much every year at this time of the year. It boils down to that. But when we do get an opportunity to get out there and work on some things, I think your practices have to be very structured in that way. Is what do we need to work on today? Maybe 1-2 drills, and then just get some flow in there and some shooting. But really, that's the structure of practice from here on in.
You described how Florida plays. Is that the type of system that you've tried, at least pieces of it?
Well, yeah, I think we've done a pretty good job of that. I think, the last handful of games, I think we've gotten away from our identity a little bit in terms of putting pucks in deep and forechecking and going to work. So we're trying to get that dialed back in here and, play that north-south game.
How do you think being at home, I know it's been a tough schedule, but finally being home can help you guys maybe give a bit of energy?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, guys were ready to get back home for sure. We're on the road a long time. Quick day yesterday, and get out of there and just get home with your families and get situated there. And we got a 4-game homestand here. So it's an important homestand for us. And starting with tonight, we don't want to look past tonight's game. It's, it's obviously a big game. To me, the standings where they're at and everything in Florida. So we're just focused on tonight's game.
You walk through, when 2 new guys come into the room, take me through the process of walking them through and getting them used to your package, what you do,
Yeah.
the on, the off ice stuff.
Yeah. They get situated here, and the players, they know each other pretty well most of the time. Nowadays, it's not like back in the day you didn't know players too well, but they all know each other, and they're welcomed. I mean, our guys are really excited to get these guys, so I think that feeling is pretty simple. But we show them our package and some video. Don't overdo it. These guys have played a long time in the league. They know systems pretty well. But it's just over the course of the time getting them more situated with how we want to play and where they're fitting in. Chemistry, like with a D partner, we got a D man and forwards. I think that's the biggest thing, is finding some chemistry with some line mates, teammates.
Chemistry usually takes for?
Well, I think it's different for everybody. What do you mean, Riley and Carlo? That's a good question. I think everybody's different. Those guys are, first of all, they're trying to just get comfortable with their own games right now, and it's important that they're not trying to do too much. Just play within their limitations, and simplify the game as much as possible, and then over time. I can't give you a timeline on when it clicks in.
Teams that are defending champions often say that they have a target on their back when they come back the following season. Did you notice that? I mean, I know the season after you won was COVID shortened, but when there was some sort of normalcy, did you notice that you had teams were gunning for you?
Yeah, I guess you always want to beat the team that won last year. I think as a team going in there, I find the Toronto Maple Leafs have a target on their back every night. It seems like we don't get an easy game. It seems like, especially at home here. I mean, these teams all come into Toronto, and a lot of the players are from here and family and all that, so they get gunned up and geared up to play us. I mean, I find it's a tough night every night with the Leafs.
Lorentz said he offered himself as a resource, and Ekman Larson and Stolars about the Panthers. Do you draw onto that, especially with these 3 games coming up?
Oh, with the players talking to them? Yeah, sure. Coach and staff, we talked to them a little bit about things and philosophy and, situational stuff that Florida does. Anytime, a player played for another team, there's always things that you can talk to them a little bit about. I don't get into it too much, but our coaching staff does.
Lawton and Domi apparently learned how to skate together back in the day in this area. What sort of chemistry are you hoping to see from them as things kind of progress here?
Well, I think Lots is a straight line north-south player. That's, what he's become. I think coming out of junior was probably a little bit differently, but that's what he's become. He needs to go out and play that way. And Max can make plays. We all know that. He's a good passer and, sees the ice extremely well. So with him and Bobby on that line, I feel like if they can get in there and forward check and create loose pucks and get it to Max, and get to the net. That's what I tell these guys, get to the net. That's where the goals are scored. Yes, you get opportunities in a game where there's breakdowns and you'll have opportunities to shoot a puck and score. But a lot of times, these guys, you just take Matthew Nyes, he scored most of his goals 10 feet out from the net, and just get to the net. They're big bodies, and, Max does a good job of, making plays and getting pucks to the net. So that's what I'm looking for with that line.
How long is that leash, Craig, for the line, I think?
Leash?
Leash.
Oh, well, that's
what's
good.
What's your runway there? What do you want to...
Yeah, I don't really have a leash on it. If I don't like what I'm seeing, I'll change it. I thought they were better last game than they were in the first game, so I'm hoping for more improvement tonight. And I'll just play it by ear.
How would you describe the significance of this game tonight?
I think every game from here on out is going to be huge. So obviously a great team over there, and always had good matches against them, so it should be one that we'll enjoy tonight, but got to be ready to go.
Not that you don't at all times, Max, but you find teams buckle down more after the trade deadline with what they have and playoffs are coming and all that.
100%.
How does that play out?
What do we got left, 15 games or so? So
Roughly.
Yeah,
17.
Yeah, 17. So final stretch, trying to clean some things up, get some chemistry going with whoever you're playing with, and just know what the identity of each line is and each D pairing and the team essentially. So we're heading the right direction, and it's a big win we're building off of, and great test tonight.
Can he help you with Scott? You guys have known each other as long as you have.
Yeah. Scotty's a guy that, as a kid, I always looked up to him because he was a year older than me. He was always the captain of the Marlies, and I'd get called up once in a while, but always treated me with so much respect and took care of me, took me under his wing when I was a young kid, and we've been friends ever since. So he's a great family, and I'm really excited for him. Obviously, really cool opportunity to play for your hometown team, so he's doing great.
What do you like about his game?
He's so smart, and he does all the little things. Stuff you guys won't see. I've known him my whole life, so I know, but these guys are just getting to know him, and he's one of the best teammates you're going to find, so whatever it takes, and been around for a long time for a reason. Does all the hard things. He kills penalties, he makes plays, he's really good through the middle of the ice, good on face-offs, plays with a bit of an edge on him too, so he's going to be a big part of our group.
So the guys yesterday talking about a playoff atmosphere or playoff intensity tonight. What sort of intensity level are you expecting in this one tonight?
As I said earlier, I think every game is going to be very similar to a playoff type mindset from our group for sure, and other teams as well. Everyone's pushing to climb the standings and ultimately just prepare for what really matters is playoff hockey.
It's a neck-and-neck race for the first spot in the Atlantic with Florida. How significant would it be to win the division?
We don't. It doesn't matter to us. We're just trying to beat every team we play against, and every game is just as important. So focus day by day and game by game, and good test tonight against defending champs. So it's gonna be a fun one.
With your additions that you got to your team at the deadline, how excited are you to going to the playoffs?
Yeah, every time around this time of year, you're always adding. If you're an adder, you're excited, obviously. If you're not, it's a tough time of year. But for us, it's really exciting, and I'm thrilled with the guys we brought in, and they're fitting right in.
What do you respect about the Panthers and the way they play?
They got so much depth, right, and they play hard. So there's a reason why they won. And like I said, we're going to be ready to go.
You've obviously gone through your fair share of trades. Like, what's the best advice you can give Scott and Brandon about adjusting and trying to get up to speed as quick as possible?
They've been around for a long time, man. They know how it works, and they're just as excited as we are to be a part of this group. And they know what the task at hand is, and I mean, they're a big part of it. So we're super excited to have them, and they seem pretty excited as well. So it's huge additions to our group.
What sort of impact do you think Brandon can make?
Yeah, I mean, played against him for a long time. He's, one of the better defenders out there, and great human being. Obviously, he was part of the Boston Bruins, dynasty there for a long time for a reason. So we're very lucky to have him, and like I said, great dude, and he's playing great so far, and he's only going to get better.
What sort of game are you expecting tonight?
We're preparing for a playoff-like game, and you can say that about a lot of games, but this one's, it's no secret that both teams are battling for that first place spot. And, two teams that have a lot of talent up front, back end, goaltending, very deep. So, we know it's going to be a hard-fought game. It's not going to be a bunch of pretty passing plays. It's going to be, you're fighting for every inch out there, and that's a game we want to play. So we're going to come out hard, and, we're kind of excited for the opportunity to get at these guys. So, again, there's no friends out there. No secret, obviously, being there last season, but it's business now. Coming into the last little part of the regular season, going into the playoffs, we want to start playing our best hockey. So we got to fine-tune the little things, and we're excited for the challenge.
From your time in Florida, what stands out about the way the Panthers play?
They're just going to be hard in your face. They're a very disciplined team. They obviously create a lot of offense, but they don't give up much defensively as well. And they play just as hard as in their own end as they do in the O-zone as well. So they've got the firepower up front, but we expect them to be tracking hard, and they're not going to give us a lot of ice to make plays. So we got to play that nitty-gritty kind of playoff style of hockey where we're just battling to get to the front of the net and try to take the goalie's eyes away.
As a former Panther, how surprised/shocked were you when you heard that Brad Marchand was going there?
Yeah, it's obviously a great pickup for them. He's an established player, and we all know the game he plays. So he kind of fits the system that they play over there, and he's going to fit in well there. But I don't think he's playing tonight. If he is, and it's just another name on the roster for us to look at and just know what he's capable of doing out there. But at the same time, we got to focus on ourselves.
What's the significance of finishing first? Like, how important is that for you guys?
It's definitely important. Again, home ice advantage going into the playoffs is something that you'd be lying if you said it wasn't an advantage. So it's definitely huge. But at the same time, we're fine-tuning our game for if that doesn't happen, if we come first, if whatever happens, we're going to play our game, and we don't care where we finish. Doesn't matter what teams we play in the first round or we're not looking past that. So we need to focus on ourselves, and if we're going into the playoffs, you kind of want to be going on that upward rise. You don't want to be, kind of coasting the playoffs, or you're at 50-50 with your game. So it doesn't really matter how you're playing, I guess. It matters how you're playing. It doesn't really matter where you finish, as long as you're going into the playoffs in that first round on a high note.
Did you sense that last year when you were there with Florida, that this time of year they locked it down?
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, it's the last stretch after the deadline. Like, that's the team you're rolling with. So it's up to the coaches and the players to figure out that role that they're going to contribute to come playoff time. And it's an exciting time. The hockey gets more fun, and it ramps up the intensity. Everybody's more dialed into it, so it's definitely exciting.
Did you sense Paul Maurice was a little whatever? Everybody knows he's a good talker and all that, but was he more serious at the end of the year as?
I don't know. If anything, he got more loose. But, he was just a very intelligent coach. He knew how to handle each and every single guy. He got to know his guys on a personal level. He knew what made guys tick. So that's a coach over there that, he's been around a long time. He's got the experience, and now he's got his cup. So he knows what it takes. But, I know what he's going to push that group, and I know what he's going to be telling those guys tonight. So if there's any knowledge I can share with these guys, same with OEL and Stoli, we're going to do that. So, expect our best.
You guys have been on the road for a while. What sort of energy can you draw from finally being home now?
Yeah, it's great. We get the home crowd now. It feels like it's been 2 months since we've been in this building. That cup of tea against San Jose, it honestly felt like a road game. We were barely in the city for 24 hours. But now we're back. We're kind of settled. We get to sleep in our own beds, practice in our own rink, and I think guys are just excited.